Or a Monster Week has finally arrived, and it might not have gone how you expected. Let's talk about it. The episode begins with Newbaru taking his first step out of the tower and promptly being jumped by a giant PS2 worm, before being saved by what seems to be Shala's house snipe. As Newbaru laments his current position, he mutters, "What do you want from me? If you've got an answer, tell me already, Natsuki Subaru," when the surface beneath him begins to come apart, as if caught in an antlion's trap, and he was dragged into the earth. He coughed out sand, waking up in a terribly cold and dark place. He wonders if this other world has hell and if he's in it. He woke up surrounded by witch beasts that had been torn apart. He panics and runs through the cavern before encountering the same doors as episode 3 that blocked Subaru's path. He had been wandering down here for hours. He would stop before getting back up because he grew afraid of the end. Newbaru encounters the third door and touches it, causing it to open. He began to cherish the darkness and silence, the solitude where he was unthreatened by anyone. This isn't cut content, this is an episode mistake. The script for episode 9 fails to mention something important. I imagine because they did not think it was a big deal. When Newbaru is stopped by another door, the anime makes you think that this is the fourth door, just like episode 3, but it's not. That is the fifth door. This is explicit in the novels, the anime screwed this up. Why do you think Newbaru was able to go through the fourth door when even Subaru could not? If you have any theories, please let me know in the comments below. His mind went red with rage as he slammed his head into the door over and over again. A pitch-black emotion welled up from inside. It was an inexorable torment of fury that had taken root in his heart. He'd been able to ignore the emotion while he was blindly following the signposts, but now, the inexpressible negativity, the darkness born from being shouldered with such an unreasonable, unfair fate, exploded. This was a gate made just for him. He could tell immediately, so why was it blocking his way? Why, when getting beyond it, revealing what lay behind it, meeting what lay in wait, was his role? Why is this gate, why is blocking me? He began to glow faintly, and he cursed the gate, but before he could slam his head into it again, he disappeared, standing right back at the entrance of the tower. A calm, quiet acceptance expressed in an understanding of the rage burbling in his heart. Newbaru heaved a long, deep sigh. He should have realized the answer sooner. Why had he needed to crawl around in the darkness for so long? Because someone was plotting to kill him, had killed him, not just once, but twice. Because there was a murderer hiding their intention behind a composed mask while putting their twisted plan into action. And the possible suspects have been whittled down to someone in the tower, haven't they? If he knows that much, then isn't there an easy solution? If someone is trying to kill him, then he just has to kill them first, he whispers, as the miasma from the cave courses through his body. With an evil grin, Newbaru clenched his fist at the revelation that brought him back from the brink. Breathing softly, he started up the long, long spiral stairs leading up to the fourth floor. When he'd run down to escape them, he'd been terrified of the stairs, but not now. When he'd walked up them in order to live, they were dear to his heart. An ominous curse dripped from his lips. Because he had to kill in order to live, because he didn't want to die, so he decided to immediately kill the first person he saw. And thus we get this awesome sequence, which is in fact Aura Monster. They don't adapt the illustration, but they capture the feeling so well. A lot of people seriously don't understand what Aura Monster was, and given its name, I wonder how many of you expected him to actually have aura when instead he's defeated, crying, and pants soaked in his own piss, completely lost to miasma, and is quite frankly a tragic scene. Was it what you expected, or was it completely different? Let me know in the comments below. But finally, the Aura Monster has arrived, but he's pretty quickly stopped. The first person he found was Shala, with her head brutally crushed. He thought of the smile that she flashed him so many times, and he expelled the contents of his stomach. It was his first time seeing a dead body, and it shook him to his very core. However, he could now remove Shala from his list of suspects. The list had now narrowed to only 6. Ram and Echidna were obstacles, Julius too. It would be better if they got themselves killed without him. Beatrice and Meili were little girls, so killing them won't be too hard. Emilia will be easy to get the drop on since she lets her guard down so much around him. Ram is defiant, Echidna is crazy. The last person was that bastard upstairs, but Newbaru had faith that that twisted man would never have picked such a boring method to kill him. There was no time to bury Shala, and he didn't have any words to say over her grave, but he didn't have any reason to humiliate her either. She was dead. Anyone dead was not an enemy anymore. The dead posed no threat to him. They were his only allies. The death he'd feared so much was now his savior. His list continued to narrow as he continued to find corpses. Ram's torso had been blown out from behind. Julius's body was covered in countless wounds, shielding Meili, killed by what seemed to be a clean, calm blow. Echidna was sliced in two. His final suspects were Emilia and Beatrice. When he runs into Patrash, who won't stop following him no matter what he says or does, even stabbing her. He doesn't understand, but he shouts. He'll kill everyone who tries to kill him. He'll push away anyone who wants to rely on him. Everyone is just shoving their problems onto him, collapsing to the floor in tears, asking to be forgotten already, to be abandoned, to be left alone. His plea was answered by a tremor, as if the entire tower was shaking. The pitch-black fog exploded upward as Patrosh grabbed him, throwing him onto her back and running, sacrificing her own body to make sure the shadow's fury didn't reach him, before throwing him onto the balcony. He felt someone behind him, but he didn't have the strength to look, when he heard a voice he had never heard before. Next time, try guessing, hero. The threats of the tower keep exploding exponentially. Subaru lost his memories, Julius is crushed, Echidna is known, Reed is insurmountable, Charlotte was deemed untrustworthy by the old Subaru, someone is killing Subaru, and for some reason, Rem was on that balcony and decapitated him. What greeted Subaru as he awakened on the soft bed of vines was the silvery voice he hadn't been able to find, no matter how much he searched only minutes earlier. Her smooth, slender neck was radiant. His well of emotion still dry, he slowly reached his hand toward her. He was surprised that she didn't make any move to stop him, despite his literally holding her life in his hands. Her reaction was dull, unresponsive. Turning to see Patrosh, he gives her a hug, and he was grateful that she was there, grateful to the one being there who hadn't hurt him. Beatrice is jealous that Patrosh is getting all the love when she and Amelia were worried too. The unease burbling in his mind reminded him of something he must not forget. Don't get it wrong. Natsuki Subaru is who they really want. There was the anxiety of knowing he couldn't shoulder the heavy burden. But now, Newbaru is forcing himself to play the part of Natsuki Subaru. This time his goal is to hide his memory loss. It harkens back to a few episodes ago when Subaru had decided to play the role of Flugel to save Shala. And now he has to try and fill the shoes of himself, to become a person that seems so fundamentally far away from the Newbaru we see now, so we can discover the identity of the murderer. Ram tells him to stop spacing out and help her get some water, and also says to not do reckless things like fall asleep in a library. Shala bursts in, saying that she had a dream for the first time in a long time in which Subaru was there, and so too was her mama, but Newbaru escapes her grasp. When Julius entered, his face tensed, and he looked away from Newbaru and distanced himself. Seeing that extreme reaction, Newbaru asked Shala for a favor, and he pulled Julius aside to ask to talk about last night, to talk about something he couldn't remember at all. He aggressively pushed Julius about something he was clueless about, when he hears about Subaru and his secret with Echidna. He can only think about how Anna is a member of a rival faction, and Subaru was conspiring with her. Julius asks him to please not make him more pathetic in his presence in a frail voice, wondering what he would have done if Subaru apologized, but he supposes he will never know, before exiting the room. Shala pops out. She was watching over their exchange to make sure nothing happened. Newbaru didn't know what motive Natsuki Subaru held for his secret with Echidna, but at the very least, Newbaru had more than enough reason to be suspicious of what the past him had done that night. Shala stops his train of thought by begging for a treat for being such a convenient woman, and he finally gives in and gives her a hug, telling her to stop thinking of herself as a convenient woman. He was on the verge of just arbitrarily using her like a tool, just like Natsuki Subaru. Not wanting to be like that, he was spurred by his anger to hug her. It was embarrassing, but the sense of achievement went out. He didn't want to turn into the selfish sort of guy who would just keep relying on others. He didn't want to become like Natsuki Subaru. This is such an interesting way for Newbaru to think, because Season 3 quite literally just showed us that one of Subaru's strengths is relying on the strength of others, a lesson he had to learn in Season 2 because he kept trying to shoulder everything on his own. But this is Arc 1 Subaru plus Arc 6 Tip, a version of Subaru who still feels like he has to be the kind of son Kenichi can be proud of, even if it includes grinding himself to dust. He thinks that Natsuki Subaru's accomplishments in this world are a consequence of Subaru's quality of always taking from others, always consuming, because he isn't adequate enough to do things on his own, but not this time. He won't become the kind of Subaru who uses Shala, or schemes with Echidna, or works with former killers. Melee hears Newbaru talk about Patrosh is the only source of his comfort, but asking if he really wants to run away with her. It's something that she can understand, having been raised by witch beasts. She says that Mama was strict, and she was with Elsa a lot who was sloppy, so she had to take care of a lot of things. Newbaru tells her that he's seriously busy right now, but Melee has business with him, leaning forward, asking how seriously she should take what they spoke about last night. He felt a sharp pain and grimaced. His arms hurt. His wrists and hands were covered in deep scratches. Looking around, he noticed it. Melee was lying there, dead. He ran over to her body, as if to deny the reality before his eyes. Her expression was twisted in pain, and her lifeless eyes were looking somewhere in the distance. She had always been a hard-to-read girl, but now she would forever be incomprehensible. He screamed out her name, trying to give her CPR, but there was no response. He tries to recall when the hell he could have killed her, and he looks at his hands. The scratches on his hands were proof that she struggled to live. The arms that had committed such a brutal murder, he realized it. He had flesh in his fingernails too, indicating he had scratched something as well. A chill ran down his spine as he rolled up his own sleeve. It wasn't just any scratch. They were letters. A twisted writing carved into his body. Natsuki Subaru was here. No matter how many times he looked at it, the words were written there in a grisly Japanese. Whatever has happened to Natsuki Subaru, this is not as simple as memory loss anymore. The strange visual glitches before being surrounded by death, Newbaru being able to pass through an additional door, and now having his body seemingly taken over, killing Melee and etching his own name into his arm. This is not just amnesia. It's something far more dark, far more nefarious. Memories make the person. That was something uttered in Newbaru's mind in episode 8. An unfamiliar voice in a sea of familiar ones, and additionally, when the Rem on the balcony decapitated him, they had said something quite particular. Next time. Why would anybody say anything to Subaru about a next time? Well, we have one instance of that. Roswell L. Mathers, who was aware that Subaru was a looper. Whatever took over Rem, or whatever became her, might know about return by death. Not just looping, because they specifically said next time and decapitated him, an intentional reset. A murderer in the tower, and a body-jacked Rem killing Newbaru to cause him to reset. Are they one of the same, or two separate killers? What caused the explosion of black fog in the tower? Something that seems akin to Satella's fog. How will the party overcome Rita Estrella, who was taking over Subaru's body? How will the party recover Natsuki Subaru? The challenges of the tower just keep stacking up. Do you have any theories, ideas, or just want to lament how fucking awful everything seems? Please leave a comment down below. I also thought I would briefly talk about all the chapter titles we can't get because this is the anime, because I like them a lot. Arc 6 chapter titles are unanimously considered some of the best in the whole series. Last episode covered Coming Out of the Convenience Store, There Was a Wondrous World, Thin Ice Relations, A Place of Relief, A Paper Mache's Dream, Who Are You, and Ruins, as well as the beginning portion of Abandoned by the Stars. Episode 9 adapts the rest of that chapter, as well as The Scent of Peace, The Tower of the Dead, The Tower of the Living, and the beginning of Medal of Blood. This is one of the best episodes of the season. I still think episode 8 is better, and I would probably put 6 and 3 above it, but episode 9 is a light 9. The episode largely suffers from the gigantic mistake that is the door screw-up, leaving anime-onlys who don't seek external information like these videos completely unable to speculate. And also, making Abandoned by the Stars take place at midday is just... why? Why did we do that? The rest of the episode is fantastic, however. The gore during the Tower of the Dead sequence, and good lord, Sharla's crushed head was insanely unnerving, and we gotta talk about the elephant in the room, or a monster. Yeah, dude, it's a great scene. Newbaru completely miasma-pilled and paranoid climbing the stairs, and his voice actor's like, basically singing kill, 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 as all of the edited images from episode 8 flash through the screen. It fucking rules. The fact that we got any adaptation at all of the XXX markers is fucking awesome. For those that don't know, these visual glitches in the novels are indicated by XXXs that break up the text. It's super cool. This episode did a fantastic job capturing the tone and atmosphere, and I feel very inspired seeing such a powerful lighting change for the Natsuki Subaru is here scene. The drawings this week were also way more consistent than episode 8, which is good. Episode 9 was awesome, a powerful opening sequence, the insanity that was Aura Monster and Tower of the Dead, Newbaru's breakdown before the fog arrives, and a relatively good sequence after with Sharla and Julius, before the incredible heel turn for the rest of Phase 3. Great episode. Let me know what you guys thought down below. The first cut is at the very start of the episode when Subaru is about to step down the stairs. He looks back at the tower one last time. What compelled him was the guilt he felt about leaving the people who bore no malice for Subaru, but he pointedly shook it off. His lingering attachment to the outside, to his former world, was even greater. I don't want to be here, he says. Because to Natsuki Subaru, home was the house where his father and mother were waiting. We mentioned earlier that this episode adapts the chapter Abandoned by the Stars. However, the anime also changes it to Abandoned by, I don't know, the sun, because rather than taking place at night, it seems to take place at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. It's relevant, and here's some narration as to why. When Newbaru is flung into the sky, he reaches towards the night sky, screaming for help. It was not something that could be reached. In his shrouded vision, he couldn't see the stars in the fuzzy sky above. All alone, he fell. Abandoned even by the stars whose name he shared, he would be swallowed by a monster and disappear. When Newbaru sinks into the sand, the narration states, the stars above didn't pay any heed to Subaru, pathetically struggling down below. Stars are important to ReZero, and I like any mentions of them we can get, so I figured I could bring this up. Mentioned in the last episode video, Newbaru stole food from the group before escaping. So in this one, when he falls into the cave, rather than being surrounded by dead witch beasts, he's surrounded by his supplies scattered all around him, as if someone had rummaged through everything. Also, the whole cave sequence of the novels takes place in the pitch black. He's crawling around on all fours the entire time. You might be wondering how he even finds his way to the doors, then, well, the novels have your explanation. At some point, Newbaru picks up a putrid scent. That stench was his only guide. When he noticed it, he wildly chased after it, and that stench led him to the gates, and every time he passed a gate, the stench grew stronger. This is something interesting to note because Subaru did not smell anything last time he was down here at the doors, but now he does. During the iconic Aura Monster sequence, Newbaru can still smell it when he's walking up the stairs, but it was also implied that he could still be smelling it because it filled him completely. During the Tower of the Dead sequence, when he finds all of the corpses, they are found to be partially covered by white cloth, besides Sharla's, something that can be seen in the illustration for the sequence in the novels. All of them showed signs of someone mourning them. That thoughtful gesture made no sense. Everything was beyond his comprehension. Natsuki Subaru was in hell. A small cut, but right after that, Newbaru opts to investigate the crime scene to see how long ago it happened. Given how the blood had dried, they were killed hours ago. The novels are also far less coy about it being Satella that is rampaging the tower than the anime, because before the fog begins to climb the tower and before Patrash saves him, countless dark hands are firing up and shooting all around the tower. And when he's riding away with Patrash, the vision of Satella atop the stairs in the previous episode flashes through his mind. A small cut, and the final one, is that when Newbaru is on the balcony, there is a single white bird staring back at him with emotionless eyes. Feeling the end coming, all he can do is sit up and reach towards the sky. That is about all that was cut from episode 9, a terribly dark and depressing episode with an iconic scene finally making it on screen. Or a monster becoming the meme it did was really funny because it's not even an important scene, but here we are. I'm sorry to all the TikTok editors out there who will not be able to match the episode to the illustration, but it's still a good one. I will see you all next week for the penultimate episode of Core 1. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe for more. You can also check the description down below to become a member, which gives you benefits like early videos, membership badges, and cool custom emotes. You can join the Discord where we talk about Re:Zero, Kagurabachi, Jujutsu Kaisen, and all kind of stuff. Additionally, you can go to the channel store and pick up some awesome stickers made by our channel artist, so you can carry the power of Graphia with you on your water bottle. That's about it though. Thank you for watching. See ya.